Hello everyone, my name is Olivia. I'm the principal, and we're here to better Herbie's educational outcomes. So here is a sign-in sheet for records in the future, so please sign in. So we're going to start out with some procedural safeguards so you parents know what to be concerned of and what some things you should know. So to make sure everyone's aware that the procedural outcomes are that everyone should remember the parents that have the right to review all academic and records and reports. A child who has been identified will be evaluated and if it needs a different educational placement, it will be provided appropriately and free in public schools in mind. If parents are unable to attend, the public agency should use other methods so you can be participating, such as video conferences or a telephone call to help you guys be involved. So do you guys have any questions before we get started?
No.
Okay. No. So Herbie seems to be struggling in reading and math areas, and he seems to be behind the learning curve with his age. For math, he seems to have trouble with subtracting and identifying shapes. Then with reading, he struggles with comprehension questions at the end, and he doesn't show any behavioral issues. He seems to be active in class, participating with peers and teachers, but sometimes he exhibits to be independent versus with his peers and lacks motivation. So sometimes he'll put his head down and doesn't want to work anymore. He's done. So we're here to help Herbie work with an appropriate education level and better his learning and keep him on track with his peers. So we're going to begin with present levels of educational and functional performance. We'll start with his strengths in the general class.
So I'm the general ed teacher, obviously you guys know this now, Brandon. So it's just some strengths of Herbie. He obviously speaks fluent English, he knows letters and sounds, some basic math skills such as counting. He can count to 50, he can count objects to 50, then he can recognize and write numerals 0 to 9. He can group objects in sets. In addition, he knows some shapes and patterns, not all of them. With writing skills, he can read words, but he reads them at a slower rate. And then in addition, he's not really disruptive in class. He speaks respectfully to everybody, and he responds well to stories that I read to him. And then at recess and during lunch, he has a good group of friends that he hangs out with. He doesn't cause trouble, and they seem to all get along pretty well. So, do you have any concerns about this or anything like that you want to ask?
With what we talked about, no, but actually, take that back. Yes, you said that he was kind of not being engaged in classroom and just kind of isolate himself with his peers. Is there any way that we can kind of tackle that and try to get him more engaged?
Yeah, I'm going to try to place him near my desk, or else maybe putting him by some other higher achieving students. By doing that, I think it'll help him interact with them students or also interact with me, and I'm right there. I can help him if he needs help, and just things like that I think will really benefit him.
Do you do a lot of group work in your classroom, or could you maybe do a little more of that to get my little Herbie involved?
I try to do group work, I do, but obviously sometimes it gets hard. The bigger the groups, the harder it is for them to stay on task. Even though Herbie's a good student, the rest of my class sometimes struggles with that. But I definitely am going to try to do more group work just so I can get him involved more.
I like that. Thank you.
So I'm Maria, and I am the special education teacher, and we'll be going over the present level of academic achievement with Herbie. So Herbie knows letters, names, and sounds, and reads 20 first grade nonsense words correct in 1 minute. He reads first grade oral passages at 8 words correct per minute. He cannot answer literal or inspirational reading comprehension questions from first grade passages. He cannot read 2nd or 3rd grade passages. Herbie can count to 50, count objects to 50, recognize and write numerals 0 to 9, and group objects in sets. He recognizes a line, square, and circle, but doesn't recognize a rectangle or a triangle. He cannot add or subtract 2 digits by 1-digit problems without regrouping, and has not attempted multiplication yet. There are difficulties in reading and math inhibit his progress in the general curriculum. And just reviewing really quick in his classes. So for math, he participates with accommodations. In language arts, he has standard administration. And for science, he has accommodations. And for his basic skills test and his educational progress, he has accommodations also. And basically, Irby is going to need a teacher to read tests to student for him, but when it's a reading test, he can't have a teacher read to him.
Okay.
Is there any concerns?
So, how often are we going to be informed and about his progress, and how are we going to be informed?
So basically, you'll be informed as much as possible, but probably just like report cards, quarterly, you'll get them, and you'll just get a lot of progress through that.
Okay.
Are you two? Oh.
And an assessment will be given, so we evaluate your child every quarter, or every quarter, yes. So you get 4 assessments, and he'll be evaluated, and you'll get the report of that too.
Would you guys be open to email if I had a question to ask for his current progress?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have an email set up on my phone, so I'll get your email anytime, and I'll respond hopefully within 24 hours, if not as soon as possible.
Good to know.
And if you wanted to be updated weekly or have any concerns at that time, you can more than willingly,
Yeah, we can all collaborate and email
you know,
on what's going on.
whenever needed.
Perfect.
I am Herbie's IEP manager. I look over his IEP goals and make sure that his general education and special education teacher are following those guidelines that we have created. That's why we are here today. For most of his reading and placement considerations, we actually have been placing him in a specially designed instruction in a specialized class. We do that during his study hall sessions with the other classes. We make that at that time due to the fact so he's not missing out on any classes, he's able to still be informed on everything, but not singled out in any way. And so we have him do that for 275 minutes in a semester in that specific time for a 1-year duration.
Okay.
Is that alright for that amount of time? Would you like more, less?
If it's working, we don't know. We don't
Okay.
know.
Where do we go next, guys?
Yeah, it's fine. We'll edit this out. Where did you?
Go to the functional
So
performances.
how do I just pick that up? Do I just say
So say,
so next?
being Herbie may struggle in reading and math, but he is good with his social skills at recess, and just kind of,
So that's how I want to start.
and then I'll butt in and say, do you have any questions? And then concerns, and then I'll transition.
What does he struggle with? Reading and math.
Yeah.
Reading and math, and then I'll transition it to services and placements, and then the goals will be toward the end,
Page.
and then I'll go right back to you with general class. Okay. Whenever you're ready.
2, 1.
Oh my
So,
We'll do 3, 2, 1.
and
A
then
second pause and then go. Okay.
Okay.
So 3, 2, 1.
So like we talked about earlier, Herbie does struggle with a little reading and math, and so, but with that, he exhibits good social skills. Like I said in class, he does talk to his peers in class, not as much as he probably should, like in group work and whatnot. But when he's at lunch or at recess, he really enjoys being with his friends and talking with them, hanging out with them. And he's really respectful. I've never had any issues with him like that. Like I said earlier, he doesn't cause problems for me, and he's a good student overall.
So do you guys have any questions before we move on to the next topic?
I think we're doing pretty good.
Okay, sounds good. So we're gonna go into like the services and the placement plans. Like, do you guys have any like ideas of where he should be placed?
I guess we obviously want to keep him with his friends, I would hope, since he's talking with them at recess. So for placement, we are able to keep him in a general education setting, correct?
Yep, we can go into the general education classroom.
Yeah, so when he's in my classroom, when he stays in the general ed class, I can obviously, if like we have tests or whatnot, I'm able to read the test to him so he can stay there. But if there's a reading test, I'm not really able to.
Mhm.
So we have to figure out something for that. And like I said earlier, I have something like the buddy system. So basically when I put him by other students that are maybe higher achieving, he's able to ask them for help, or if they're not willing, or if they're not able to, then he's able to ask me for help.
Feels more comfortable.
And yeah, it definitely helps with making him more comfortable in situations like this. So that's just ways to keep him in the general ed classroom.
Yeah, I would like that, so that's good to hear.
Okay.
Then for the special ed classroom, the tests are gonna be written at grade 1 level for him. And he's gonna have specifically designed instruction time with the teacher.
Okay. Sounds good.
Does that sound okay? Do you think that would be
Yeah.
beneficial for him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he'll obviously be with general ed classroom more,
Mhm.
but he'll be with special ed. Like he, excuse me, like he said earlier, there will be times where he's with the special ed teacher,
Mhm.
which only benefits him.
And being, like you said, in the general classroom, he will be with his peers, and then he'll be limited, like, it'll be a limited time within the special ed, just to keep him going and on track.
As long as it's on the down low
Yep.
for time, I'm
Yep.
fine with that.
And for educational environmental considerations, so like he had mentioned that he'd sit near the teacher's desk, so then he'd be monitored. If he needed help, the teacher could help him, and the peers really wouldn't notice. He'd be placing with higher achieving students on the side, so then they'll keep him on track and organized and keep him maybe like more in line as well. So does that sound good with those 3 placements?
Yep.
Sounds good. So 3 placements that we're considering would be the public classroom, and then a special education place, and then also have a research center, which is where a teacher would go over the shoulder, and whenever he needed help, he could come up and ask help. It'd be kind of more in their study sessions, so he could just say, "Hi, I need help," and then he'll get the help. But if he doesn't need help, he can just work on his own. Would you have any questions about that?
No?
No? Okay.
So you obviously expressed your concern and you want to keep him in the general ed classroom, which is fine. So yeah, the other 2 options we have are basically the resource center. I think, in my opinion, that it'd be great for him just if he does need a little extra help, instead of going to the special ed room, he's able to go there and just get help in a different way, in a different environment. I
Yeah.
think by having these different environments will really benefit him,
Mhm.
I would say.
Along with not, excuse me, along with not working with the same person.
Yep.
We don't want him to get too comfortable to where he's gonna shut down with another person from helping.
Yeah.
So, as Mr. Brennan was talking about having him switch up different rooms at different times for maybe different tests that he's not comfortable with, I think it'd be very beneficial for him in the
Yeah.
long run.
Yeah.
For sure.
So with that, we're going to move on to we think maybe, and you can put your opinion in it, if we should do an extended school year, which is like a summer school option, so he doesn't lose his.
I thought we were doing goals next.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Okay,
like, how
so
do you?
we'll stop. I mean,
No, we could have kept going.
No, we don't want to do
Just go with it.
we're good.
We're okay.
I'm sorry. I just
So
thought
then
I
you vote in, and then finish with the extended school year then?
Yeah,
Okay.
we can talk about the end of the
Definitely.
school year,
Goals.
because I'm gonna mention on how the general education teacher and the special education teacher and I have met up with the administrator. Isn't that what it is? Where's she at?
Did I take it?
No, it states on who we meet with, or
It's not this one.
the title page. That we all have it in.
This?
The very front page, no, not that one.
I don't know
Yeah, I don't either.
that. I know what you're talking
Oh,
about.
I got it right here, guys. Just kidding. The qualified district representative.
Okay.
So I'm gonna state that you and I, the general education, special education, and the IEP manager have met with the qualified district representative and gone over the IEP, and we'll be able to fully fund this with our school, and so on. Okay.
Alright.
Alright, BJ.
Alright, so we're going to goals now.
Yeah.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
As we discussed before, I am his IEP manager. We have made some goals and some objectives for Herbie to make in this next year. We will be testing them every annual, and that's when we'll give you reports. I will also be on that email form as well, so I can keep you guys informed. You guys are always welcome to stop in, check how he's meeting. The more inclusive, the more informed you guys are, the better you guys Herbie will be. I have met with the general education teacher and the special education teacher. We have sat in a room with the representative for the state to talk about the funding for it and all of that. So the goals that we have created is by the end of 3rd grade, given 150 word at a 2.5 grade level reading passage, Herbie will read 68 or more words correctly in 1 minute with 95% accuracy in 3 out of 3 consecutive trials. Right now he is reading at a 1st grade level, so 2.5 would be a really good time by a year. By the end of 3rd grade, be given 150 word at 2.5 grade reading level. Herbie will read the passage and correctly answer 4 to 5 comprehension questions in 2 out of 2 consecutive trials. By the end of 3rd grade, given 10 addition and subtraction problems, Herbie will solve and write 9 out of 10 of the questions correctly in 2 out of 2 trials. By the end of the 3rd grade, given a sheet of paper with geometric shapes, Herbie will correctly draw a triangle, cube, rectangle, and cylinder in 2 out of the 2 trials. We will, after a year has gone up and after we test them, we will reevaluate this and probably have to have another meeting. We can talk about his transition to another grade as well as the services that we are providing.
Alright.
Any questions?
I guess if he's falling behind a little bit in those goals, is there any way we could help him out a little more?
We can do an extended school year.
Okay.
We can apply some summertime to his academic year.
Alright.
We can get more in detail. It would help him be on track. We would probably just apply reading and math, just because we want to work on them to get him up to his peer levels.
Okay.
When he returns to school, we can see where his growth is from there from the summer, and we can even redo his IEP plan if need be.
Okay. Might be interested in that. Depends on how he's doing.
Alright. So, do you have a date in mind that you would like to reassess these goals before we enter an extended school year?
A day to reassess.
A day to reassess his IEP goals and objectives before we do an extended school year? Would you like to do them towards the end of the school year after exams
That sounds
to do
wonderful.
another assessment?
That sounds wonderful.
I think that'd work great.
Does that, we'll stay in contact and you'll leave some time and dates that work best?
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay.
So Herbie will be placed in a regular gen ed class, and then he'll be limited time in the special ed room. And then you guys thought it would be a good idea with this extended school years. You thought that was so we'll include that. And then just to work on his reading and math skills so he catches up to his classmates and slowly improves. It's not going to happen like that. It's just going to be chipping away at the ice and slowly but surely. So before we wrap this up, do you have any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns?
I can't think of any.
Yeah, sounds like a good plan.
Sounds good.
It was nice meeting with you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yep.